Loyalty is easiest to give to something that can never betray you. What if the show you've watched 17 times isn't a habit at all? Not slightly different from what you think, completely different. You already know Jim looks at the camera. You already know Ross and Rachel end up together. You have memorized the exact rhythm of jokes that stopped surprising you a decade ago. And you are about to press play again anyway. That single detail, pressing play on something with zero unknowns left in it, rewrites the entire story of what's actually happening in your brain. Because this was never really about the show. Somewhere along the way, rewatching became something people feel they have to defend. Your partner raises an eyebrow. Your kids beg you to watch something from this decade. The algorithm has quietly given up recommending anything new because it has learned correctly that you're not interested. And the assumption that follows is almost automatic. You must be avoiding something. Stuck. Unwilling to grow. Too tired to try. Psychology tells a more interesting story. The mere exposure effect explains part of it. The more you're exposed to something, the more you tend to like it. Watching something familiar costs your brain far less than watching something new, where every character, motive, and plot turn has to be tracked and processed in real time. But cognitive load only explains the mechanism. It doesn't explain the pull. This isn't simply about saving mental energy. It's about something closer to loyalty, to a person, a feeling, a version of a relationship that doesn't exist anywhere else in modern life. When everything else keeps shifting underneath you, jobs, friendships, even the people you love, there's a particular kind of relief in something that holds perfectly still. Everything seemed like a simple comfort habit, until you look closely at exactly what kind of comfort it actually is. Here's the first hidden layer. Psychologists studying rewatching have found that it provides a measurable sense of control and safety. No surprises, no betrayals, no shocking turn you didn't see coming. Picture the scene. It's a Tuesday night. The day went sideways. An email that stung more than it should have. A conversation that didn't land right. A low hum of unfinished tasks following you home. You sit down. You don't search. You don't scroll for 20 minutes weighing 5 trailers against each other. You already know exactly what you're about to feel, scene by scene, and you choose it anyway. Not entertainment, reassurance, not story, relationship, not what happens next, what never changes. A new show asks something of you the moment it starts. Attention, patience, trust that it will be worth the investment. A familiar show asks nothing. It has already proven itself. It has never once let you down because you already know exactly what it's going to do. That is not nothing. In a life where people change jobs, end relationships, move away, and sometimes simply stop calling back, a story that behaves exactly the same way every single time is a rare and quietly profound kind of reliability. But here is where the story takes a darker turn, because this reliability isn't only about comfort. It's about something the comfort is standing in for. Ask yourself this. If rewatching were purely about saving mental energy, why does a rerun of a show you've seen 20 times still make you cry at the exact same scene every single time, as if you didn't know it was coming? That reaction doesn't make sense if the show is simply low-effort content. It makes complete sense if the show functions as something closer to a relationship, one where the characters are, in a very real psychological sense, familiar presences in your life. People who study parasocial bonds, the one-directional emotional connections we form with media figures, have long noted that these bonds can provide some of the same psychological benefits as real relationships: comfort, predictability, a sense of being known. A real friend changes, grows distant, moves away, sometimes hurts you without meaning to. Jim never does. Michael Scott never does. The version of your favorite show that exists in your memory never grows older, never gets tired of you, never has a bad year and pulls away. Everyone else in your life is allowed to change. The show isn't. That's not a flaw in the relationship. That might be exactly why you trust it. This reframes the nostalgic dimension entirely. It isn't only that the show reminds you of who you were or who you watched it with. It's that the show itself has become one of the few constants standing in for everything else that didn't stay constant. The friend who moved away, the parent who introduced you to it, the relationship that ended after the credits had already rolled 100 times together. Rewatching isn't simply remembering the past. It's maintaining one relationship that time was never allowed to touch. Stay with me, because what comes next reframes why this matters far beyond television. Here is the truth underneath the comfort, the nostalgia, and the decision fatigue. The world was told that rewatching means you're avoiding something new. The deeper psychology suggests something closer to the opposite. You may be maintaining the single most reliable relationship available to you, one that, unlike nearly every other connection in your life, was never given the chance to disappoint you. The world calls this being stuck. Psychology calls it emotional regulation through predictable narrative. The person doing it usually just calls it Tuesday night. This isn't a flaw to be corrected, and it isn't unambiguous virtue either. There is a real version of this that tips into avoidance, using a familiar story to never engage with anything unfamiliar at all, in shows or in life. But for most people, this isn't that. It's simply a relationship conducted on a screen with characters who will never once let them down. Loyalty is easiest to give to something that can never betray you. This isn't really a story about Friends or The Office or Harry Potter. It's a story about what people quietly do when too many of their real relationships have become uncertain. The same instinct shows up in comfort foods eaten at the same restaurant table, in songs played on repeat during hard weeks, in routines walked the exact same way every morning. None of it is regression. All of it is the nervous system reaching for the one variable it can actually control. If you've ever felt slightly embarrassed admitting how many times you've seen your comfort show, here's the more useful way to think about it. You weren't choosing the past over the present. You were choosing the one relationship in your life guaranteed not to change on you. Most people will keep calling that being stuck. Now you know it might be the opposite. It's a Tuesday night, and the same theme song starts the same way it always has. Jim is about to look at the camera. You already know it's coming. And somehow, that knowledge isn't boredom. It's relief.